Hey, it's Will Vaughan from Your Career Mastery, and today we're going to be talking about how to build your professional network. But firstly, let's talk about why you'd even want to build your professional network in the first place and what are the benefits of doing so. Well, first and foremost, just thinking long term in terms of your career. At the end of the day, when you look back in your career, you're going to look back on all the experiences that you had and all the great things you achieved, but you're also going to look back on all the great relationships that you had throughout your career. I know for me personally, when I look back on my career to date, and I look back on even experiences in life, traveling, school, university, the thing that I remember the most is the people that I worked with and the relationships that I built and the funny experiences, the tough times, who supported me, who was evil to me as well. You remember the people. People are everything in this world. So it's so important throughout your career to build great relationships all along the way, and don't think too short term and short-sighted and try and step on people's shoulders to get ahead in your career, because that's gonna really stuff you up in the long term. You wanna build great relationships along the way because that will pay dividends for you throughout your career. And on that note, one of the best sort of career hacks in terms of building your professional network of why you wanna build it is because having a great professional network actually helps you build what I like to call sort of intellectual capital in your role and in your career. The relationships that you build in your industry, they can lead to new jobs, new opportunities, but also development opportunities for you as well. New things and projects and opportunities and change will happen in your career, and you're not gonna have all the answers. But if you make great connections in your industry and within your company, that can then be little outposts that feed you knowledge about what's happening in your industry, and it makes you smarter, it makes you more knowledgeable, it makes you in touch and more on the edge and on the pulse of what's happening in your career. And that again sets you up for more success because it helps you make more informed decisions about what to do with the projects you're working on and just in your career more broadly speaking. So that's why I think building a network is so important. Let's get into how to do it. Well, my favorite and best place for building a professional network is at events. Events are gold. There's no better place where people are more open and receptive to meeting new people and networking and building their network is at events. Whether it's an actual networking meeting, a trade show, a conference, industry events, junkets, these are all great places to meet people because they've got their guard down, maybe they're having a drink and a bit something to eat. That's a great time to introduce yourself, tell people about what you do and ask questions. And take the time to get to know that person and show an interest in that person on both a professional and a personal level as well. No one really wants to meet someone and just talk all business. You could ask them where they live or what they studied or if they got kids, if they got any good holidays this year. Find a way to make a connection with that person that's not just business related, because it's going to make the relationship and the connection a lot more substantial if you can build a connection that's more genuine than just professional. So that's tip number one. Go to events, and when you're at those events, whether it's within your own company or at an industry event, take the time to meet as many people as possible and find 2 or 3 people who are going to deliver the most value in terms of people who are most relevant for you and that you've got a really good connection with. Tip number 2, how to build your network is all about networking within the business that you work in. In many cases, we just rock up to work every week, we see the same people that we know, we see the same people that we don't know, and we don't really take the time to build relationships with people outside of our immediate remit. That's a huge miss in terms of your networking and your professional development. I try to really go out of my way, almost annoyingly, within the business that I work in, to meet as many people as possible. And this might sound like a humble brag, but it's absolutely not meant to. But I've had times in my work where I've gone for coffee with my team, and almost every person that we pass will stop and say, hey, and how you going? And people in my team are like, how do you even know that person? You seem to know everyone. But I think if you make a point to be interested in people, whether you're at the kitchen or the water cooler, and there's someone next to you that you don't know, say hello. Introduce yourself. And you might not get much from every single interaction, but maybe 1 in 5, 1 in 10 interactions might lead to something that's really substantial that could then build a great relationship, which pays a dividend at some point later in your career that you can't even foresee at this point. And one of the things that I love to do is if there's people that I work with who I don't really know very well, I love to say, hey, I'd love to set up 30 minutes, even just informally over a coffee, to pick your brain, to learn more about you and what you do. In many cases, people love this. Not only does it stoke their ego a bit to have someone show interest in them and their particular set of work, but it's also just really nice and really good when someone says, hey, I'd love to meet you. And when someone shows an interest in you, and don't do it in a manipulative, insincere way, make sure you're doing it in a way that's genuine, and you really are showing a genuine and sincere interest in the people that you want to meet and have coffee with and learn from. Because if you're not, being sincere, they will absolutely sense that and they'll be threatened, put their guard up, and just be less likely to help you in the long term. And once you've had that 30-minute catch up, you've learnt more about them, they've introduced themselves both personally and professionally, take the time to do it yourself, but also be proactive about staying in touch with this person and really fostering and building that relationship over the long term. And that's another great point, is that when you're in meetings with people at work, it's also a great opportunity not to just get straight into business every single time. I know there's a place for that, but there's also a place for asking people how they're going. What's going on outside of work? Are they got any holidays coming up? How their weekend was? That might seem like small talk, but those little nuggets of just showing a genuine interest in someone and building a connection that's more than just work, that will help foster great relationship building in the long term in your work, and again, help you build great relationships over the long term in your career. And my third tip for building a great professional network is all about using LinkedIn. So I personally think that building relationships should happen in person, should happen at events, should happen at work. LinkedIn is sort of the last place to build your professional network, but it's still a great place to do it. And I don't love it as much because it is quite impersonal. It's still a social media platform, and it's really not as engaging, not as tangible as meeting someone and talking to them in real time. But that said, it does have a place. So I highly recommend using LinkedIn to post about achievements in your work, about events you've gone to, sharing photos, sharing achievements from the company, reposting things that have been posted by your company, whether it's a broader achievement or something that's an environmental win for your business, whatever it is. Because LinkedIn will push that post out to many people and has a chance to increase your exposure within your industry and share content about yourself and build your personal brand to people that might not have otherwise met you, people who are working for competitor companies or people working in different industries than you are. And I don't believe that there's always a huge chance that's going to lead to opportunities, but you never know. Someone might see your post on LinkedIn and then come up to you at an event and say, hey, I saw your post on LinkedIn about sustainability. I really loved it. They strike up a conversation with you. So LinkedIn is just a really easy source to use, or a good channel to use to build your profile that might again lead to something or lead to an interaction that happens in person at an event or a coffee meetup or a networking catch up, whatever it is. Hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please hit the subscribe button because it really helps push this video out to more people. I'm trying to inspire 1 million people to transform their career. And if you liked the video, please hit the like button. And if you've got any feedback or any questions or any thoughts, just leave them in the comments below and I'd love to get back to you because I'd really love to read them. I'm Will Vaughan from Your Career Mastery, and I'll see you in the next video. Good luck networking. Cheers.